The king's strategy. The king is not defined by the crown he wears, but by the decisions he makes when no one is watching. Because true power is built in silence. Long before it is seen in public, the strategy of a king is not about reacting to the world. It is about shaping it. From the beginning, a king understands that control is not forced. It is created through awareness. He studies people, their desires, their fears, their weaknesses, and their ambitions, because to lead them, he must first understand them better than they understand themselves. The king's strategy is patience, because rushing leads to mistakes, and mistakes create vulnerability. He waits, observes, and acts only when the moment is right, because timing turns ordinary actions into powerful moves. A king does not reveal his full strength, because what is seen can be challenged, but what is hidden creates uncertainty, and uncertainty creates fear. He allows others to underestimate him, because surprise is one of the strongest weapons in strategy. Every move is calculated, every word is measured, and every silence has meaning, because nothing is wasted. In the mind of a king, he knows that small decisions repeated over time build great outcomes, while careless actions lead to slow destruction. Trust is never given freely. It is tested over time, because loyalty that is not proven can become betrayal without warning. The king builds alliances, but never depends on them, because dependence weakens authority. The strategy of a king includes control over emotions, because anger reveals weakness, and fear invites attack. The one who remains calm in every situation gains control over those who cannot control themselves. A king understands that power is not only about strength, it is also about perception. People follow what they believe is strong, so he shapes his image carefully. He appears confident, even in uncertainty, and decisive, even in doubt. Challenges are not avoided. They are used, because every obstacle is an opportunity to learn, adapt, and grow stronger. The king does not complain about difficulty. He uses it to sharpen his mind and strengthen his position. Silence becomes a tool, because speaking less reveals less, and revealing less protects. Strategy. The king listens more than he speaks, because information is more valuable than expression. There are moments when difficult choices must be made, choices that others would avoid, but a king does not hesitate. Hesitation creates weakness, and weakness attracts opposition. He chooses what secures the future, not what satisfies the moment. The king's strategy is long-term, because short-term victories mean nothing without lasting control. He builds systems, structures, and stability so that his power does not depend on a single moment, but continues over time. The king's strategy, expanded path of control. A king is not defined by titles or symbols of power, but by the depth of control he has over himself, because real authority begins where impulse ends and discipline takes over. He does not move through life reacting to circumstances. He moves by design, shaping outcomes through patience, observation, and calculated action, because reaction belongs to the weak while creation belongs to the focused. From early understanding, a king learns that silence is not emptiness, but strategy. It is in silence that information is gathered, plans are formed, and emotions are controlled without exposure. He studies people, not to judge them, but to understand them, because every individual is driven by patterns of fear, desire, ambition, and insecurity. And the one who understands these patterns can predict behavior before it happens. A king builds patience as a core strength, not as delay, but as timing, because rushing destroys precision, while patience allows the perfect moment to reveal itself naturally. He avoids unnecessary conflict, because not every challenge deserves energy, and not every insult deserves response. He understands that control is also the ability to ignore what does not serve direction. Discipline becomes the structure of his life, because without discipline, talent becomes inconsistent, and without consistency, progress collapses over time. He trains himself to stay calm under pressure, because pressure exposes truth. It reveals who is prepared and who is pretending, and a king uses pressure as a tool for refinement, not fear. The king's strategy includes emotional awareness, not emotional control, in the sense of suppression, but in the sense of understanding emotions without being controlled by them. He does not rely on motivation, because motivation fades, but systems remain. So he builds habits, routines, and mental frameworks that operate even when energy is low. Trust is never automatic. For a king, it is observed, tested, and confirmed over time, because loyalty that is assumed becomes the easiest point of betrayal. He understands that perception is powerful, because people respond to what they believe is true, not always what is true, so he protects his image through consistency and careful action. A king listens more than he speaks, because speaking too much exposes intention, while listening reveals opportunity, and information is always more valuable than expression. He accepts that leadership creates distance, because clarity requires separation from emotional noise, and decisions cannot be made effectively when surrounded by confusion. Every setback is treated as data, not defeat, because failure reveals weaknesses that success often hides, and those weaknesses become points of improvement. He avoids attachment to outcomes, because attachment creates emotional instability. The king's strategy beyond power. A king is not born from comfort, but from pressure, because pressure reveals who can stand and who will break. And the true ruler is shaped in moments of difficulty, where others choose to escape. The foundation of a king's mind is discipline, because discipline removes chaos and replaces it with structure, and structure creates control. Over time, decisions become sharper, actions become cleaner, and results become inevitable. A king does not chase attention, because attention is unstable. Instead, he builds value in silence, and lets time reveal his strength. What is built quietly lasts longer than what is announced loudly. Understanding is his first weapon. He studies not only people, but systems, patterns, environments, and consequences, because everything around him follows logic, even when it appears random. And the one who understands logic controls outcomes. He knows that emotions are signals, not commands, so he observes them, but does not obey them. Anger is energy, but uncontrolled, it becomes destruction. Fear is awareness, but unmanaged, it becomes limitation. And pride is strength. Unchecked, it becomes blindness. The king's strategy includes restraint, because not every battle deserves participation, and not insult insult deserves response. Sometimes victory is achieved by refusing to engage at all. He builds patience like an empire, brick by brick, moment by moment, because impatience destroys structure before it can stand. And the king understands that time is not an enemy, but a tool. A king invests in knowledge, because knowledge removes uncertainty, and uncertainty is the birthplace of weakness. He reads situations like language and interprets silence like information. He does not rely on motivation, because motivation changes, but systems remain. And so, he builds habits that act even when emotion is absent. Trust is treated like currency, not given freely, but earned through consistency, and tested through time, because the king knows that one unverified alliance can collapse an entire foundation. He accepts that leadership creates distance, because clarity requires separation, and emotional noise weakens judgment. So he stands apart, not out of pride, but out of necessity. Every challenge becomes training, because resistance strengthens direction, and pressure refines strategy, and what breaks others builds him further. The king avoids unnecessary conflict, but never avoids necessary confrontation, because peace without control is simply delay, and delay eventually becomes loss. He understands that reputation moves faster than action, so he protects it carefully, knowing that perception often decides influence before reality is even seen. A king does not speak excessively because words lose value when overused. Instead, in the end, the king does not depend on position, title, or recognition, because his true authority is built within, and what is built within cannot be taken by force, only abandoned by neglect. And make, like, share, and subscribe for more.